We're here today to provide an update on the two homicides that occurred earlier this week on Indy's Far East Side, what steps IMPD is taking, and the information we are asking for from our community. First, I want to acknowledge the difficult time for the families of the victims, Shannon Lazier and Marianne Weiss. And I want to make it clear that we're in the early stages of this investigation and have not yet determined definitively if these two deaths are connected. But out of an abundance of caution and in the interest of public safety, we are here today to share what we can and what we are doing proactively to minimize the risk of this type of violence in our community. As is always the case, we need help from the community. And so I'm asking for the public's assistance in gathering more information about these two cases and these two victims. There are similarities in these two cases, and we need information from our community to help move these investigations forward. I'll now turn it over to Captain Roger Spurgeon of our homicide branch to update you with more information on these two particular cases.
My name is Captain Roger Spurgeon, and I'm the Homicide Branch Commander. I'm going to detail what our investigators know right now, what IMPD is doing to investigate these crimes, and then what we're asking from the community. What do we know? Both women were located near the 21st and Mitthoefer area, about 150 yards away from each other. Both victims either lived in or had strong connections to this area on the Far East Side. Both victims were killed in a similar manner. Both victims were white females in their 50s. What is IMPD doing? IMPD has increased patrols in this area. Residents should expect to see more uniformed officers patrolling the area and detectives canvassing the neighborhood in the coming days. We have multiple units working these cases in addition to our homicide unit. We're working with the Indianapolis-Marion County Forensic Services Agency to see if we can identify any forensic evidence from the scenes. We're looking into different technologies in the area, and we're asking the community members to review their cameras to see if they saw anything suspicious out of the ordinary. The lieutenant over the homicide unit has been tasked with providing direction and ensuring resources are at the detective's disposal. IMPD has reached out to community organizations in the area to update them on the incidents and partner with them for outreach to area residents. What do we need? We don't know if these crimes are connected at this point, and that's why we're asking for the public's help. If you have info on these victims or know where they have been days before their death, we want to know. If you have cameras in the area that caught something suspicious, we want to know. We also are asking our community to stay aware of their surroundings as they're out in this area. Residents can call IMPD's Homicide Office directly at 317-327-3475 or email the detective, Ryan Clark, at ryan.clark@nd.gov or contact Crime Stoppers anonymously at 317-262-TIPS. I'll turn it back over to Chief Bailey.
Open it up for any questions that we can answer.
Yeah, I would like to talk to you, if I could, if that's possible. So, when it comes down, they were both killed similarly. We're hearing from the son of Sarah that his mother was stabbed. Is it safe to say they were both stabbed? He also said his mom was found partially clothed. Is that something you can get detailed on? And do we think that these women may have also been raped?
So for the investigative integrity of both cases, we're not going to be going into details of any of that at this time.
Should the public be afraid of their safety at this point? From what I understand, one of the women were out walking to the gas station and never returned home. Should these people not be walking by themselves? What does that look like?
So that's why we're here. We're here out of an abundance of caution to share information with the community that we can share, ask for information that help move these investigations forward, and make sure people in the area are aware of their surroundings at all time. Report suspicious behavior, be with somebody and call 911 if something just doesn't feel right or you fear for your safety.
What would suspicious behavior look like? What would somebody watch out for?
Yeah, I mean, I think that is situational, I guess. People would know what feels normal to them and what feels out of place to them. And so I can't give specific scenarios about what would be suspicious. There are things that you can do in a normal day life that apply at all times. And that's one, at night, make sure you're with somebody if possible. Make sure you're aware of your surroundings. Make sure someone knows where you're at. Make sure you have a way to communicate if something does happen, or know where to go in order to get help that you need. So those are a few basic tips that apply in multiple situations. But in this particular case, we're here as an out of abundance of caution. We need the community's assistance to understand exactly maybe what information, what these women were doing before they were killed, that may help investigators move this case forward.
I know suspect information, you can't really talk a whole lot about that right now. What can you tell us about that? Is it one person you think we're dealing with, or really can you not say too much about that?
We don't have those answers at this point, and there's certain pieces of the investigation we just can't talk about right now to make sure we protect the integrity of the investigation and that we don't harm anything in the future.
I'll take one more. Are you able to tell us how many homicides there have been in that area in the last maybe year and a half?
I don't know that off the top of my head. The PIOs can follow back up with you with that particular information.
Did these women know each other?
I don't have that information.
Chief, my other question for you, these families have lost their loved ones. They were tossed away like trash on the side of the road. Speak to that. Speak to the gravity of that for these families and how heartbreaking that is.
Yeah, anytime we lose a life in our community by violent means, it's a devastating impact on the community generally. But I can't imagine the loss that these families feel right now when their loved ones were taken away from them in this manner. And that's why we're here. We want them to know that we care about them. We care about all the families of the victims of our homicides and murders in our community. And we'll use our victim assistance to help them in any way we can, as we do with all of our victims. We care for them. We care for our community. We don't want these things to happen. That's why we're asking for the community's help in finding out who is responsible for these two particular incidents and all of our unsolved homicides for that matter, whether it's this year or years past, so that we can bring closure to the families and give them the peace that they deserve.
Thank you guys, we appreciate it.
Chief, could I just say one more thing? We have family right now watching on treatment. Justin, for example, was Sarah's son. What can you tell him to assure him you guys are going to use everything in your power to find the person responsible for stabbing his mother to death?
And if you have a message for that person who's
Yeah, I don't have a particular message for the person or persons, but like I said about the particular victims, all of the IMPD resources that we have available to us, our partners here in Marion County that always help us with criminal homicides, that we will utilize not only to bring to bear all the resources in this particular case, but all the cases where we have the information to lead us in a particular direction. That's my promise to the community, is that we will do everything that we can to provide them the peace and justice that they deserve in this case and all the cases that involve a loved one being taken from them.
How do you prioritize this case over all the other cases that seem to be stacking up now?
No, our detectives do a great job of managing this. The captain is responsible for ensuring that the cases are assigned appropriately, and that the number of cases assigned to each individual detective are proportionate to FBI standards and national best practice. We haven't always met that standard, but we are increasing staffing and homicide as we are available to do that. That's why the decision was made to put both these cases with one particular detective, so that this detective can focus on these two particular cases and not get a next one down the road. So they do a good job with the resources they have of prioritizing and following the evidence. These detectives sometimes work 24 plus hours straight following leads. They will follow the leads until there is nowhere else to follow. I have seen them in action. The particular detective assigned to this case is one of our best. I'm proud of the efforts that he's made in not only this case but cases in the past. And I can guarantee you, they will work they will work until there's nowhere else to work, nowhere else to go in a particular case. Thank you.
Thank you guys.
Thanks, Chief.
Thanks, Chief.